Cars turn right towards Horse Guards Parade. Very familiar route for the princes, because they're often here in June for the Queen's birthday parade. This year, of course, Prince William will be on parade as Colonel of the Irish Guards. Prince William, who is now a fully functioning seeking helicopter pilot, serving at RAF Valley in Anglesey, North Wales. That's where he's been living for some time. And Catherine Middleton there too. They're looking forward to, they say, a relatively quiet existence after today's great pomp and ceremony. A salute from the Guard of Honour in the tilt yard outside the Horse Guards building. That building, by the way, still officially the entrance to the royal palaces. And that's why it's being used today. And out onto Whitehall, where the crowds were gathering at 5 o'clock this morning. Past the memorial on the left to the women of the Second World War. Past Downing Street, where there'll be a street party later on. And past the Senator. The two princes salute the war dead. Prince Harry, who's recently been promoted, by the way. He's captain in the Household Cavalry in Blues and Royals, but he's on attachment to the Army Air Corps. Promoted earlier this month after spending 5 years in the Army. Joined in January '06. And of course, he famously served in Afghanistan a few years ago. Through Parliament Square, and very soon they'll be at the Great West Door of the Abbey. All along Broad Sanctuary, crowds are 20 deep, and then you have the massed ranks of the world's media ready to take those memorable images. There they are up on the right-hand side. The banner of Westminster Abbey and the crest of Edward the Confessor still flying above the Northwest Tower. That will change when the Queen arrives. The bells of Westminster Abbey ring out as Prince William arrives for his wedding service. And there we have a better view, really, of Prince William. His garter sash and star, the 1,000th member of the Garter admitted by the Queen, and his RAF wings. And the ring of bells at Westminster Abbey. And after this service, there'll be a special peal which will last 3 hours when the service is complete. The Dean of Westminster on the right, Dr. John Hall. He's responsible for the spiritual life of the Abbey. He's answerable to the Sovereign. Westminster Abbey is what we call a royal peculiar. The senior clergy here are answerable to the Sovereign and not to any archbishop or other part of the Anglican communion. There's a very strong bond between the monarch as Prince William will be one day, and Westminster Abbey. And this, of course, is where one day he will be crowned king. Quite a responsibility for Prince Harry, not just for the speech which he has to deliver later, but he had the stag do to organise, which he apparently did with a good deal of energy and diligence and secrecy. That gave him a lot of pleasure. And what's going to happen is that the Receiver General of Westminster Abbey, who's responsible for all the administration of the Abbey, will lead the Prince and his best man, his brother, of course, Prince Harry, along the nave. They'll know all about the flowers and the trees because they were part of planning them. And they've seen them in a few rehearsals, so it will not take them by surprise. I'm sure they'll be delighted with the result. Leading them all the way along the nave, through the choir screen, the organ loft, which splits the Abbey, in a sense, and then into the choir for the more intimate area where that wedding ceremony will take place in about 40 minutes' time. Since 1066, it's a remarkable thing to say, every coronation has taken place here, apart from two, Edward V and Edward VIII weren't crowned, but every other king and queen crowned here at Westminster Abbey. It is a cradle of royal power. And Simon Sharma, the historian, still with me. And as we see Prince William making his way here, we feel all that history resonating.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, 1066 was, as everybody out there knows, don't have to be a history graduate to know, there was a very quick coronation for Harold to make sure that he was staking his claim in front of Edward the Confessor, and he came to grief. But what William, now the Duke of Cambridge, must be feeling is that this, in some sense, is the overture to a great arc of a career in front of him, which indeed will be consummated in a much more formal, august, solemn way when he's crowned.
William, as promised, is just greeting a few friends and other acquaintances. I think he's talking to the Spencer family here, and members of the Spencer family, two sisters of the late Diana, and Earl Spencer, a brother, is also in this group on the left-hand side. I think Harry's just having a word with him there. The princes are very good friends with Earl Spencer's children. Three daughters are sitting just a few rows back. And this group in the lantern does contain, in the back rows, quite a few of those close friends of William and Kate. The Sultan of Brunei is making his way into the Abbey, one of the wealthiest monarchs in the world, and they have close links with the royal family here. Just greeting a few people along the nave as they make their way in. This big royal group, foreign royal group, taking its place in the south transept. They'll be taking their places there. Princess Lalasama of Thailand making her way in, as the princes make their way along to another part of the Abbey because they want to have probably a little chat together. And that's a little private area behind the high altar, and they'll be going along to St. Edmund's Chapel. That's the traditional holding area, if I can call it that, because it is a sacred place. It's a traditional area where the groom waits. It's where Prince Andrew waited for his bride to arrive, Sarah Ferguson, back in 1986. It was different in 81, of course, because Charles and Diana were married at St. Paul's Cathedral. The King of Tonga is the next to arrive. Prince Albert of Monaco with his fiancée, Charlene Whitstock, the South African swimmer, being shown to their places. Prince Albert, the son of the Prince Rainier and the late Grace Kelly. The Serbian royal family also joining. The bride's mother and brother are on their way. Carol Middleton, James Middleton. James Middleton will be taking part in the service and be responsible for one of the readings. Very difficult to get a glimpse inside the Jaguar from the Royal Mews, but it's quite a thing to imagine what's going through their minds on this short journey to Westminster Abbey. Carol Middleton, who within a few generations, her family has come from miners in the north of England to being very successful business people today. They live in West Berkshire, on her way to Westminster Abbey to see her daughter Catherine marrying Prince William, the second in line to the throne. It's a remarkable thing. All eyes will be on Carol Middleton when she arrives at the Abbey, because there's been quite a lot of talk about the process of choosing her clothes for today. So I'm sure that Sophie and her guests will have something to say about that. And I'm now being told, because these details are coming in at the last minute, that Mrs. Middleton is in fact wearing a sky blue wool crepe coat dress with matching satin piping, and it's designed by Catherine Walker, and the hat by Berkshire-based Jane Corbett. So that's the detail, but for the impact, of course, we'll have to wait for the car doors to open outside the Abbey. Middletons have been remarkably discreet about the relationship over the last 8 years between their daughter and Prince William, but they have said one or two things. Memorably, when the engagement was announced, talking about William, they said, "We think he's wonderful, we're extremely fond of him, they make a great couple, they're fun to be with." The word fun comes up a lot when you talk about this young royal couple. "We have lots of laughs together." And they were paying tribute to their future son-in-law just before Christmas when that engagement was announced. Back in Westminster Abbey, we have other members of foreign royal families arriving. The Queen of Denmark is the next to arrive, and the Grand Duke and the Grand Duchess of Luxembourg. And then the Prince of Orange and Princess Maxima of the Netherlands